What's going on, everybody? My name is Linwood. Thank y'all so much for being here, and I hope that you are so ready for the next hour that is jam-packed full of hope, positivity, optimism, gratitude, mental attitude, and a mental check, baby. So pull up a chair, grab a couple of shots, kick your shoes off, let your hair down, and relax, because this will be the best hour that you have ever received, and I'm super excited for it, baby. Woo! Let's go!
Joseph Jaffe is not famous. I'm famous. Joseph Jaffe is a delusional human being who thinks he's famous. He's not famous. He's not famous. I'm famous.
But he's officially... Well, Peter, you might be the first person on this planet that has ever shut me up for this long. Good old Heraclitus, I tell you. That wild and crazy guy.
If I came to you and I gave you $10,000 for 20% of the company.
Deal. Yeah. So, is that a verbal?
Younger than us, sorry to say, Joseph.
What, younger than 20?
Joe, we're just trying to help you because clearly you've lost control of the conversation.
You know what? With all due respect, I never had control of the situation. Doesn't mean I'm overgone. What doesn't kill me makes you stronger.
Look at you! You are insane!
How did I do that?
You're insane.
I'm not insane. No, I am insane. I want to be insane. We all need to be a little bit insane, just a little bit, because the world does not need normal people. The world needs people that are different, that swim against the current, that swim against the grain. I'm sure you agree, Mr. Stephen Rubin. Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Joseph Jaffe. Not famous, but my next guest is very, very famous. It is National Iced Tea Day. It is a day. Thank you, Hank. It takes one to know one. Look at that photo of you. I am weird. Yes, we got to be just a little bit weird. Keep Austin weird. That's why I love Austin so much. We need to get back to South by Southwest. And I need to see you, Hank. What a wonderful guy. Previous guest on the show. And welcome, everybody, to another night, another day in this adventure, where today we get to welcome Mr. Shawn Nason, who is, as you can see by the photo, he's famous. If he wasn't famous, you would not see the word famous next to him. And look at that incredible blazer. What a colorful man. He's the CEO and founder of Mophie and the Disruptor League. I have many questions. I want to know what Mophie is. I want to know what the Disruptor League is. I want to know about his hair. I want to know about his blazer. I want to know about everything. And then afterwards, Mrs. Chevonne Smith, who is a creator and an actress, will be joining us. And as always, I cannot wait. Kevin Keller is here. He said, great King's song lyrics. Lunatics Anonymous, that way I belong, sure, because I am one. Lunatics unite. Lunatics Anonymous unite. Kevin, welcome to the gang. Welcome to the community. Manif is also a lunatic and a weirdo, and I say that only with peace and love, and I'm glad that you are here as well, my friend. Let's get in and let's get on with it. It is 13 days to heart surgery. And as always, I say, why the hell am I so excited about it? I don't know. It's a little bit of punch drunkenness. I have raised, as I've said to you, it's kind of slowed down just a little tad, but it's okay. It's okay because I think Bitcoin has slowed down a little bit as well. But I do want to thank all the people that have shown their support, not just for me, not just for the upcoming surgery, but really for 266 episodes, 266 guests, actually about 300 episodes of the show since March of last year. I want to thank all of these people who have stepped up and shown their support. And remember, the thing about any of these packages on my rally.io account is that they are all connected to the show. So whether it is a cameo, whether it is a walk-on role, whether it is a shout-out, whether it is sponsoring the show, having your own show, hosting the show, or just a super-size shout-out, you will get some benefit back in return. And I wanted to make sure not only that you got something back, because you know what? There is no thing in this world as a free lunch, but also that I could donate 10% to the Mitral Foundation. And I'm looking forward to doing that as well. I want to say yesterday was Bruce Fenster's birthday. Somehow I forgot to wish him, but I'm wishing him now, as I'm wishing Steve Sachs and Martin Ment and Fanzo, the one and only Fanzo. You would think he was the first man to turn 40 in this world, but people have celebrated him because he is worth celebrating. What a great guy. He will definitely not be this enthusiastic when he turns 50. Speaking as an old 50-year-old, as a young 50-year-old. But Fanzo, enjoy the next decade. You've earned the right to sit back, relax, have a drink, and enjoy all the love that people are sending you, because you are deserving of the love, my friend. And speaking of love and speaking of hearts, we continue to always make sure that we stay on brand. The soliloquy tonight is called The Heart Wants What the Heart Wants. And here is your music. There is something in Shawn Nason's bio that caught my eye. Unwilling to separate his heart from his work in the business world. Let's unpack that. And when he comes on the show, he can fill in the gaps and provide the color commentary and context if need be. And let me tell you, Shawn is very colorful. Amidst all this work from home, aka work from home, WFH, whatever the hell that means, reality of the past year and change, we've discussed ad nauseum the blurring between personal and professional. We've pretended that we don't mind dogs barking and annoying children crying, but we do. We've paid lip service to boundaries like working nights and weekends, and although we've told our employees their time is their time, it's really our time all the time, right? Snark aside, Shawn is making me think about another blurring, that between the head and the heart, or logic and emotion, as David Armano might say. People have always told me that I wear my heart on my sleeve, and now I know that I'm not alone. I have a kindred spirit. I've started using the word love a lot in my emails, in my professional associations, even on this show. I've realized quite literally and personally that we have but one heart, and it doesn't check itself at the door. It doesn't take on a personal versus professional persona based on time of day of week, or location. And so, instead of muting emotion in work, perhaps it's time to dial it up, to provide more shoulders to cry on, to console and to comfort, to truly empathize with one another. The heart wants what the heart wants. And I am troubled by a politically charged and sensitive culture that might be woke, but is it truly awake? It's okay also to be angry, to confront, to disagree, to debate. It's not personal, except when it is. I mean, it's personal, but we don't need to take it personally, if that makes any sense. And even if it doesn't, that's okay too. Personally, I'm sick and tired of being someone I'm not. I am who I am. And while I am absolutely not saying I'm immovable, stubborn, and inflexible, I am also saying, accept me for who I am. Don't change me, but know that I am open to change. When I lead with my heart, I am vulnerable, I am exposed, I am raw, I am naked, I am me. And now, it's time to meet, not me, but you. You as in Shawn Nason. Let me tell you a little bit about this man. Shawn Nason, founder and CEO of Mophie, and former Walt Disney Imagineer, lives his life with a commitment to make everyone he meets a part of his family. Armed with the gift of discernment, he has the uncanny ability to walk alongside people as they struggle to connect with their deepest passions and engage their most debilitating demons. He challenges the world around him to be fully present, get real, and knock down the barrier that separates the various compartments in their lives. Unwilling to separate his heart from his work in the business world, there's that statement. He unapologetically challenges leaders to quit the bullshit and think bolder about how to actually improve people's lives. He's the person in the room who is undeterred by convention, unafraid to dream big, and unable to settle for mediocrity. Now that, my friends, is a bio. Let's bring him on. Mr. Shawn Nason, watch out for that dragon, that fire-breathing dragon.
Ha! How are you doing?
I am doing great. I am happy to meet you. I'm happy to see you. We're going to talk about dragons. We're going to talk about a lot of things. But first of all, Mr. Harold Kravitz says, good morning, Joseph. Last day of lockdown in Melbourne. Go, Joe. Well, enjoy the last day. And Harold promised me that you'll still be watching the show when you're allowed to go and play outside, my friend.
Hey, I'm off of lockdown, Joe, and I can still be here watching the show.
Well, thank goodness. And I need you here on the show. Kevin says, nice dragon. And we're going to get to that. But I want to ask you a bunch of questions that, I love words, I love phrases, I love ideas, and I love bios. And one of the things that jumped out at me, Shawn, is that you said in the last year and a half, we've uncovered many of what I call superpowers. But you have a superpower and a gift, the gift of discernment. What is the gift of discernment?
Yeah, Joe, this is gonna, I try not to get too political or to talk about too much religion, but one of my former careers in life is I was a pastor. Who would have thunk? Because now I think I'm called the cussing pastor or something. So, because I like to say shit, fuck, damn, all of those things. But in that, this concept of discernment is to be able to, I would say, trust your gut. Trust your gut. So walking into the room, building these radical relationships, working with people, I trust my gut almost 100% of the time. When everybody else says, don't do it, shy away from it, if my gut says do it, I do it. And so that discernment is being able to look at situations, look at relationships, look at groups of people, and being able to know exactly what you need to do.
And to what degree, when you talk about discernment and trusting your gut, how often is, I think you trust it implicitly every time. How often is it right?
Well, I'm 100% right, Joe. Come on.
It was a rhetorical question, damn it.
I would say fairness, I would say 90% of the time my gut is right, or at least leads me in the direction that I really want to be led in. So, yeah.
All right. So what did your gut and the gift, the superpower of discernment say and think about coming on Joseph Jaffe Is Not Famous?
I have to come on any show that, for someone who has a show and says not famous, why would you not come on that show?
Exactly. And of course, how could I be famous when I have a former pastor, former preacher? Kevin says, man on fire. Now I feel I need to think of my quoted middle name. The pressure is on. Tell me about man on fire. Why are you the man on fire?
Well, so this also goes back to why the name of my company is Mophie. So let's make the acronym MOF, Man on Fire. And at the time, I worked a lot in the innovation space. So it was just, I had to start a company. And I had an article written about me. It was in 2015. when we had done some major work, and I was chief innovation officer for a university here in the States, and got a lot of global recognition about it. And the author of the article called me Man on Fire. And at the time, actually, the mohawk was red. And so you never know what color it's going to be. And that stuck. Man on Fire stuck. And that's where the social started. And when I started my company, someone said, you got to name your LLC something. And I thought, Man on Fire Innovation. Let's name it Mophie.
I love it. I love it. And, look, we had Joe Polizzi who came on the show, and he said, I think this is a thing with respect to the color orange. Sometimes our branding and our differentiation is given to us, gifted to us, if we are paying attention, if we open up our eyes and our ears. That is a great story. And Manif is here, and Manif says, I f***ing do it. Intuition must mean something. Or it looks like the sensors have somehow got to me. Let me see if I can beat him. What he meant to say is, I fucking do it. Intuition must mean something. I think you have just given me my first powerful swear, my first powerful cuss. So I must be in the presence of a preacher. I don't know.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Well, I want to talk about some fun facts associated with you, my friend. These are fun facts that the world may or may not know. In fact, I'm pretty sure the world does know at least one of them because you kind of told it to us. But before we get there, let's talk about the fact that you are not just a preacher, you are a teacher. How many people get to say that they were a Miss America coach?
Yeah, not many, but there are a lot out there, a lot of pageant coaches. I was really fortunate at a time in my life. Actually, it was kind of funny when I was a preacher that we did some Miss America coaching in the system for different states. And it's not often as a man that you get to do that. And it was really awesome. I love fashion. As you said, you commented on my blue jacket. I love fashion. And so it was an awesome time. I did it for a few years with my wife, and now we moved on to the next thing.
So as long as your advice was don't avoid a goatee and a mohawk, you're going to be fine. So we know that you're a teacher. We know that you're a preacher as well. And let me ask you one question about being I would say a pastor, but a pastor. What is being a pastor taught you, or how has it helped you in terms of being a public figure, being a thought leader, being a speaker, delivering a keynote?
Oh, it taught me tons. And first off, it taught me how to give a keynote and give 3 points. Don't overload people. It taught me that sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. So there's times that I have to do things in business I don't want to do. As a pastor, sometimes you had to do that. And I also think I was prepped for that because I grew up in a politician's home. So as well. And so I just knew, and I know how to act when I have to, but I also know how to shake and disrupt when I need to.
And I suppose also emote, right? I mean, for someone, that refuses to check their heart at the door,
yes.
It's really important. In fact, I found this quote for you today. It's a very simple phrase. It's not a very powerful quote. I mean, other than the fact that we hear it all the time. I wear my heart on my sleeve, but it comes from someone, and I think sometimes it's the person saying it. This was from Lady Princess, the late Princess Diana, someone who also lived her life with her heart, proverbial heart on her proverbial sleeve. So I wanted to share that with you as well.
Yeah, and I think what that means, and I think in all that, and I talk a lot about it, is how do you lead? Princess Diana was a perfect example. Mother Teresa, how do you lead with empathy? Empathy first. And you have to understand the person you're with, what you're doing, and get to the heart. And I think we've seen a lot of that in the last couple of years. businesses getting back to the heart. And I love what you said in your opening, Joe. You talked about love. We need to talk more about love than what we don't agree with in the world. So,
yeah, I mean, also the concept of wearing your heart on your sleeve, but the heart represents love as well. And so I think it's important as well. It's not just about emotions. It's not just about flying off and on a handle. That's the right phrase. But it is also about demonstrating the thing that the love does that the heart does so well, which is demonstrate love. So let's get to that third interesting thought, which is we know that you're a teacher, we know that you're a preacher, but it turns out that you're also a creature, a creature of habit. Now, this is an interesting one. How many people out there have ketchup on their potato chips? I was loving you just up until this point. Tell me what's going on.
Well, I'm sure you love fish and chips.
I do.
And tonight I went and had shrimp and chips for dinner. But as I told my wife, because believe me, Joe, my wife thinks I'm a wacko weirdo because of that. And many other things she thinks I'm a wacko weirdo about too. The reality of it is all a potato chip is a dried up French fry. So why is it any different? It's a potato. So why can you not put ketchup on a potato like that, like you do on a French fry? I don't get it, and I stand firm that it's not something weird.
All right, one day when you and I meet, we are going to we're going to sample this little esotericism of yours, and I'm sure you are going to convert me, no doubt. We're looking at some of the comments coming in. Hank says, "Release the cussing, release the kraken. Already love the gut approach. It is the heart of creative." And Catherine Selkanovich, she says, "I'm so fortunate to know Shawn. I learn from his crazy experiences all the time. Keep setting shit of fire." Is that on fire or of fire? I think it's the same thing.
It is. And Kat, hi, glad you're watching.
and even Tom Morris, our resident philosopher, says, "Okay, ketchup and chips is actually wise."
See?
So there you go. And Manif, I think we're just one letter away from a full deck of cards. He says, Weirdos Unit, also known as Unite. So there you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, listen, everybody wants you to keep it weird, figs and cheese all day long. But
That's
now,
right.
now we need to get into the dragon. Hank says, "Love the dragon. Excited to hear his dragon views. My team live by don't try to tame the dragon, just ride it. The fun is in the crazy riding, not the taming." So how do you respond to that statement? How close is it to your definition and your connection with dragons?
Well, Hank, I love it. Ride it. Listen, so the whole concept of Kiss Your Dragons, when I had two amazing co-authors, Michael Harper and Robin Glasgow, who wrote the book with me. The book is a conversational book, and you're gonna hear three different points of views as we talk about mindsets and heart sets and how they come together. And when we wrote this book, we wrote it last summer. I was in a pool for 4 days, had writers with us. What else do you want? We started talking, and all of a sudden it hit me that we have been taught our whole lives to slay the dragon and to run and fear the dragon or dragons. And there's this movie series called How to Train Your Dragons. And there's a young man, Hiccup, 15 years old, and he's from the Viking community. And they've been taught, we kill dragons. They're bad. They breathe fire. But one day he meets Toothless, this dragon. And Toothless does something to him. He can't kill the dragon. So what does he start to do? Hiccup starts to train the dragon. He leans into the fear that he's been taught. You got to kill it, but he trusted his gut. He didn't kill it. He started to train this dragon, Joe. And by the end of the third movie, we've learned that the whole society had a systemic change. And they started to use dragons as workers. They rode the dragons, they leaned in, and they kissed the dragons. They addressed the fear of what that is. Imagine if we did that in the world today, Joe. If people would address the things that they fear the most, the people that they're scared of the most, that they would lean in and just open up their hearts and open up their guts, what could happen in our world today?
I mean, it comes back to love again, right? It's and of course, you know, the famous quote, the only thing to fear is fear itself.
That's right. That's right. And so in the book, and we're on this love thing, and I've got a copy of the book right here with me because I always like to make sure that I can quote the book correctly. I have this 3-point sermon, as I said, that I preach. And the 3-point sermon is pretty simple. As leaders, as people in the world, the 3-point sermon is this. You need to build radical relationships. And I can tell you more about what radical relationships are, because if you say, oh, I know what radical relationships are, bullshit. You have no idea what a radical relationship is. Build radical relationships, be transparent, and love people. What if I just keep saying, what if we just did this? Radical relationships, be transparent, and love people. That, to me, is how simple it is. And that's the first steps you need to do when you address kissing your dragons. You got to be willing to open up your heart.
All right, Pastor Nason, take us to church and start off and define what a radical relationship is, because you've basically said you don't know Jack. And if you think you have a radical relationship with Jack, you don't know Jack.
That's right.
So tell us, define what a radical relationship is.
So I've opened up the Bible now, Joe. The Bible, Kiss Your Dragons here. Radical relationships are about depth and authenticity, boldness and heart. There's that heart word again. More importantly, they're about being willing to be in relationships with people and systems that are very different from where you are and embracing the mess that comes with it. They give us confidence and energy in the face of ambiguity, confusion, difficulty, danger, and even despair. They build our trust in ourselves and in others. We need them now more than ever.
All right, I want some examples. Give me an example of a radical relationship, and feel free, to discuss every day I pray, and I do. I pray for the ability for us to come together, to heal the rift, to heal the divide, to build the bridge between the left and the right, and figure out how we can truly unite once again. And I pray that it isn't a pipe dream. How do radical relationships play a role in being able to kind of mend these fences and build these bridges that have been burnt?
Yeah, this is why I tell people you have to read the book, because reading the book is all about radical relationships, and that's what I have with Robin and Michael. And people that know us, you would not have any 3 more different people on any spectrum. No surprise, I'm really far on one spectrum. Michael's really far on another spectrum. And then we have Robin, who's in the middle. And Robin's this amazing Black woman who is strong and confident and helps balance Michael out in so many ways. What I won't tell you is where we are on which part of the spectrum and what issues. But politically, 3 different views. Religious, 3 different views. Business, 3 different views. Risk, 3 different views. That is what radical relationships are about. And in the book, we actually talk about this concept, and we talk about this a lot. There's another saying out there that many of us know: your vibe attracts your tribe. I've heard that so many times, Joe, on Clubhouse. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Typically, and I'm Native American, so I can talk about tribes. Typically, your tribe looks like you, acts like you, thinks like you. You get them and surround you, and it's a safe place, right? The concept of a swarm, which leads into this radical relationship, is dragons travel with dragons that look different, act different, are different colors, are different sizes, so that they can protect each other and move together. Well, Michael, Robin, and even Kat's been on here sharing comments. Those are all people that are part of my swarm. And when I need to be challenged, those are who I reach out to, because I may have a view about something that is totally messed up. I said this earlier today on another show where it was, I no longer agree to disagree with people. But what I do, Joe, is I agree to be respectful. And I heard you say this earlier, and listen. It doesn't mean I have to lean or change my ways, but I will stop. I will listen. I will respect their opinion, because believe me, again, when you read the book, Robin and Michael and I have very different views about things, but I respect each of them greatly. And I let them share their points of view. They let me share my points of view. We listen to each other. Doesn't mean we change them, but we at least listen.
So the word there are a lot of key points there. If I'm connecting dots, respect is a huge one. But also the ability to lean into diversity and differences.
Absolutely.
And actually realize that the very thing that unites us is our very differences, as opposed to ending up with a bunch of people that look the same, act the same, speak the same. What is the sound of one hand clapping? By the way, Tom Morris says, ego is the dragon. Lived rightly, it's defanged, and the fire becomes warmth. I think that's a really interesting idea, that the fire from the dragon can actually, again, like fire, right, can be so super destructive, but can also be, what is man without fire?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And Henk says, we did it in South Africa, and the divide was much deeper. And he adds, remember Ted Nugent and Tom Morello are huge friends. Respect what you like, not accept what you disagree on defines it. So there's a clear message that I guess, do we have to I almost feel like this is rhetorical, but do we have to actually actively go out and seek radical relationships, find people that are so different to us, and then kindle and nurture and embrace those differences?
Absolutely. You have to seek it out. It doesn't fall in your lap. And let me be really honest. It's fucking hard. There are times that radical relationships screw with you, mess with you. And when you live in it, you're going to get hurt. Things are not always going to go right. But at the end of the day, it's incredible. And I just keep holding on. And you said it earlier, Joe, I just keep holding on to this hope that we can really reunite again globally, and reunite again, living here in the States, reunite as a country that respects each other and our differences.
Yeah.
What a better world we would live in.
Amen. Hallelujah. Manif says, this is the second book that might make me get out of my audible comfort. The Oasis Within is my first, and the Oasis Within is sitting up there. If you look up, can you see? There it is.
Yeah, I see it right there, right next to your book.
Next to my book. In fact, it should be in front of my book. And hello to Anna Bowman, who has been absent for a while. Catherine says, radical relationships are hard, but we can learn so much from our opposites. It takes a village to make a difference. I'd like you to, and we'll leave people hanging in terms of the other 2 points, but there was something else that I wanted you to go into in the time that we have. And it's, we've discussed radical relationships. What is disruptive giving?
Give beyond what you know how to give. And it doesn't mean money always. And Kat's been putting amazing comments out there. Kat is a director of patient experience in Las Vegas, Nevada for a group called Cure for the Kids. And it's a pediatric oncology and rare disease clinic. And that clinic, people like Kat have taught me how to give disruptively. Give beyond what you think you can give of your time, of your emotions, of your energy, and of your money. The last 2-3 years of my life, my family, our business, I committed as a business, Joe, that we would give 10% of our gross revenue out and just give it to organizations that needed it. It's not always easy because some days you look back and you go, oh my gosh, what if we wouldn't have given that much? We would have different cash flow situations. But I'm not going to change it. It is what it is. It is disruptive giving.
It's also very biblical, the idea of giving 10% as well. So there's the pastor side of you coming back as well. How does disruptive giving tie into the thesis and the vision of behind Kiss Your Dragons, or does it?
Well, huge. And here's going to be a real prime example. Those that are listening right now. Right now on Amazon, if you're listening, you can actually go to Amazon and go to Kindle or Kindle Unlimited, and you can get today the book for free. That's disruptive giving. We want to give the book away for the next 48 hours. Go give the book away so people can read it and understand it. It's a powerful, powerful thing. Out there, and that's how they intertwine with each other.
Amazing, the power of free. So I would say buy Kiss Your Dragons, Radical Relationships, bold heart sets, changing the world. But now I can actually say, just get it. It's free.
It's free. Yeah.
I mean, it is about paying it forward. It is also about this idea of setting something. If you love someone, set them free, and if they come back to you, then they were meant to be.
Yes.
Something like that. Now, Shawn, you don't look like your typical stuffy, three-piece suit wearing executive. Tell us a little bit about your look, your feel, your whole brand persona and image. And then I have another question to ask you. Ironic that I'm wearing a suit. This is the first time that I'm wearing a suit, but I'm doing it almost in a kind of somewhat ironic way, doing my little, DIY talk show from my home office. But tell us a little bit about your look.
Listen, everyone needs a little bit of shock in their life. And when you go in and you work with major corporations, we were really fortunate for 2 years to work with the #1 company in the world, Fortune 1 company, Walmart. And I refused to change my look. They needed shaking up. And so I do that. And I like to be comfortable. I'm a big guy. I don't like to be in suits. I don't like to be in dress clothes. So I show up to C-suites in tore jeans, shorts. But everyone will tell you, always fashionable, always look put together. I love my bling. You see my bling. Even every once in a while, I have painted fingernails for my 12-year-old daughter. I am who I am. I believe in authenticity, and this is who I am and who I'm meant to be.
Was there any insecurity in terms of not just the idea of I am who I am and this is my authentic self, but going to a client like Walmart, and maybe not even Walmart itself, but just hanging out at Northwest Arkansas Airport and traipsing through Bentonville? How was there a little bit of doubt or insecurity, or not at all?
Oh no, typically what that does to me, Joe, is it stirs it up, and I just want to be a little bit more radical. So I'll color my hair bright color. Maybe it's part of the ego thing. People need to get over themselves and get over stuff.
Yeah, and And look, what have we learned today? We've learned about leaning into fear, but also leaning into and embracing differences, respecting differences, and leaning into your authentic self. Absolutely love that. Catherine says, "I love you, Shawn. I love you, Joseph. You both have hearts of gold." I think we can take that to the bank, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, I want to say that in addition to Kiss Your Dragons, which of course is your book, and I love it's not just the what you say and the how you say it, but the who was saying it in this book. These three co-authors, all of which completely different, one not like the other two, and yet by coming together, you had this beautiful swarm of dragons. Is that the actual correct phrase for dragons? Is it a pride of dragons? A
Swarm.
It is a
Swarm
swarm
of dragons, yeah.
And is there any connection between a swarm of bees? Who would win in the battle between a swarm of bees and a swarm of dragons?
Ooh. Well, I think probably dragons, because they could breathe fire on the bees.
Exactly. And the bees are so worried about the honey, so.
That's right.
All right, now we know. Now, one more thing about you is we had to discuss this a little bit. This Instagram post of yours, "I'm never wrong." Tell us a little bit about why this one is so special for you.
Yeah, if you go on to our Instagram, my Instagram feed, you'll see, this is a reel, and it starts with "I'm never wrong." And then it says, "How could I never be wrong? Easy." And it says, "I have friends who are wildly different than me." And it's the whole concept of the swarm. Different races, identities, orientations, even different politics. I tell them what I think, and then I actually listen. And that's the whole principle, Joe, of radical relationships. You've got to have that around you, because you get changed a little bit every time. You think a little different. Your mindsets change a little bit. And so it was a cool post for us. And I appreciate my team that works hard to make sure that what we post is authentically who I am and who we are as a company.
I like the idea of you get changed a little bit. There's something very, very profound in this idea that when you go into these, we always say that we go into these conversations, we go into these battles, we go into an argument with someone, and there is frustration that we're not going to change their point of view. They're never going to see our point of view. But what I never thought of before is maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's about how you get changed just a little bit. It's the change that begins inside you, not the change that you were trying to create outside of you.
Absolutely. It's a powerful, powerful way to look at it. So,
well, I get that from you, my friend. And one more thing from you is you have a podcast called The Combustion Chronicles. You see, we're still talking about fire as well. Tell us a little bit about the podcast.
Yeah, I started the podcast last year. It's been an awesome journey. What's even two really exciting things today is that we actually dropped today the Kiss Your Dragons miniseries on the podcast. So we diverted a little bit from where we normally have been. And there's 6 episodes of Michael and I and Robin, mini episodes, 10 minutes apiece at the most, where we share each of the principles in the book. And the podcast has a YouTube channel, and we did live video for that as well. So it's actually Robin and Michael and I on video talking about it. And today we actually, with all of this, relaunched the book. And tonight we hit #1 in a couple categories on Amazon. So
nice. Congratulations.
Really exciting.
We have that, and even better. I mean, who doesn't love the air horn?
I love the air horn.
This has been Shawn Nason, the man that is on fire. You can connect with him on LinkedIn. Subscribe to his podcast, buy or get for free today only, or in the next 24 hours, 48 hours. Kiss Your Dragons, Radical Relationships, Bold Heart Sets, Changing the World. Join him in the clubhouse. Follow him on Instagram, of course, and Twitter. And we normally, in fact, we do segue into our weekly correspondent. On Wednesdays, we're going to have something called Wellness Wednesdays. Last week, Needy Tawari made her debut. I thought maybe you wouldn't mind sticking around. Let's watch her contribution today, and maybe we can even comment on it. So, Needy,
Awesome.
take it away.
Hey everyone, Nidhi Tawari, LCSW here. Thanks so much for joining for our weekly Wellness Wednesday segment. This week we're talking about the intersection between AI and mental health. And there was a really interesting article that had been published by Science Daily about how AI could be at our fingertips and could provide valuable data about our mental health and well-being. Now we're used to the Apple Watches and the Fitbits of the world that track our respiration, heart rate, sleep cycles, exercise patterns, etc. But this new technology would use facial recognition as well as voice recognition technology to help to gauge shifts in our mood and our mental well-being. Now, it's really interesting because I could see this being a great use case for individuals who are neurodiverse or nonverbal. These are individuals that may struggle with communicating what's happening internally or externally, and this data being provided to physicians as well as mental health clinicians could be absolutely invaluable in long-term outcomes of treatment. I could also see that perhaps for individuals that are starting to develop self-awareness, this could be really useful in noticing that certain conversations evoke a certain mood or a certain physiological as well as emotional response. And so I'm really curious to hear people's thoughts here. Do you think that we're crossing a line by tracking facial expressions and tracking voice changes? Or could you see this technology being really useful for a broad range of people? Feel free to comment below, and I would love to hear your thoughts. And tune in next week for our next Wellness Wednesday segment. Thanks again, Nidhi Tawari, LCSW, signing off.
So what do you think, Shawn, about facial recognition, AI, and you know what I would really say is the idea that maybe sometimes we're not even aware of our own moods and of our own emotions and demeanors, and the ability to have technology maybe helping us a little bit and maybe coming to our assistance.
I love it. So it's so I had no idea what Needy was going to share on your Wellness Wednesday. But if you go to my LinkedIn profile, right up on top, Joe, it says a neurodiversity advocate. Because I'm a neurodiverse executive. Being in the creative world, ADHD, and then I have a son who has autism, who is verbal but still has a hard time communicating and getting his thoughts out because he also has something called childhood apraxia. So formulating, his brain doesn't trigger right. I think using AI in that type of space could change the world for people. And so I'm all for it. I think it's, what it could do for people with dementia, with people with Alzheimer's. I think we need to lean into it and play more into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely fascinated by it as well. And I also think, as someone who's going through my own physical health challenges at the moment, one of the things that I just love about the Apple Watch is not so much even AI, but it's the fact that I can actually determine or take an EKG. I know it's not, obviously, hospital or medical grade variety. I mean, it's an Apple Watch, but the fact that I can actually see whether I'm in AFib or get a sense, I mean, that's magic. And then, of course, the ability for that to be tied to whether it's a primary care physician, a cardiologist, or quite frankly, even a family member, going back to things like dementia. It's exciting. And sometimes we fear. I mean, I had Rahaf Harfouche on the show yesterday, and she basically said, her quote is, everything is awesome and everything is awesome, everything is terrible at the same time. that we realize that technology is just a mirror that amplifies reality. But yet we can still choose whether we want to use it for good or for evil, right? Whether it can actually change the world or not. I was looking at a few comments as well. We're doing a little bit of a bonus with you just because I'm enjoying hanging with you so much. X Golf Brookfield says, amazing podcast. Strongly recommend engaging with all of them. And adds Shawn Nason is as good as it gets. So how about that? Jeffrey Wallman says, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. Sounds so right. And Manif says, I don't feel good about a bot looking at my face and saying, is something bothering you?
Yeah, there is a fine line. I talk about it a lot, high touch, high tech. And we have to find it. I don't know. I think it could help immensely in my situation with our son. And I appreciate the shout out from X Golf Brookfield, a very good friend of mine named Sean Domain, watching as well. So great to hear and see his comments.
I'm looking forward to my Apple Watch actually saying, Joseph, are you sulking again? Like, is that a bit of sarcasm I'm detecting there, young man?
I think actually what I would enjoy most about AI on my phone or my watch is for it to tell me that I needed a drink or some wine. I mean, would that not be great for it to say,
hold on,
hey,
my Apple Watch is vibrating saying that I need a drink. So,
you got your wine. See, there it is. It's just electrifying.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's an episode of Grease.
There we go.
I wanted to ask you one other thing as well, which is you were a Disney Imagineer. And I've always loved the concept of an Imagineer, right? An engineer, the fusion of an engineer with imagination. Talk a little bit about that experience, because I mean, Disney for me still is just one of the most fascinating companies. Walt Disney, one of the most fascinating individuals. Love the fact that Disney calls its customers guests, and its employees, team members or cast members, I think is the term. Yep. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
I was actually telling a buddy of mine, co-author Michael Harper, a few weeks ago. He and I travel a lot together, and I said to him, I didn't realize how spoiled I was in my world. I was very fortunate. I had been a musician, became a pastor, and my first job in corporate America was with Walt Disney and the company. And I was privileged and honored to work with amazing leaders and amazing mentors. Diane Mullinex, Mark Palmer, some great people that still, to this day, Jeff Ballou, that I still think of, and really had an honor. This week, you see I'm sitting in a kitchen. It's a little dark. I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana, taping season 5 of the Combustion Chronicles. And that whole season is going to be on the experience ecosystem, the experience economy, experience. And one of my heroes was a gentleman by the name of Lee Cockrell. And he wrote a book called Creating Magic for his time at Walt Disney. And then I had this weird thing happen, and I interviewed for a position as a cast member there, and I became a Walt Disney Imagineer. And Imagineering is a very select, small group within Walt Disney, and they're the creative team. They build resorts, they build hotels, they build the theme parks, the rides, all the creative stuff. But what was interesting in my time there, Joe, with that is I actually was a finance person. So I went back and got my bachelor's in finance and my master's in finance. So I dealt with numbers. But what was so incredible is I was able to be part of a creative process and do some amazing, cool things when I was at Disney. And that's when I learned where this intersection of experience and innovation comes together. And I learned what it was like to create magical moments, even in the times when I had to look at numbers, right? I was a backstage cast member. I wasn't on stage. I was backstage. I didn't deal with guests every day. But I learned that everything I did as a finance person, that I could impact that magical experience for that 4-year-old princess or that 4-year-old pirate. And had no idea that as I moved along in my career and moved into healthcare, moved into higher ed, and then moved into creating my own company, how much that had impacted me until yesterday when we were recording that podcast and Lee was talking and I was like, holy shit. I learned that principle 10 years ago when I worked for that company, and he had just retired after 30 something years. It was powerful. I can't even begin to tell you what a journey. And, would I go back to them at some point? Yes. But I felt like it was time to move on, and I needed to spread that magic in other places. And that's what we do at Mophie. Our boutique consulting group, we're an experiential design group, and we go in and we work with organizations to create those experience promises and build a foundation around experience. And so that's the root of it all. Disney is the root of much of what we do. And I'm so thankful for that journey in my life.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it makes me think about, my first job at Nando's Chicken Land. And I still, to this day, I can say Nando's is not about chicken. It's never been just about chicken. It's about passion, pride, courage, integrity, and most of all, family. And I think to myself, I'm not even concentrating. The words are just in my heart. They're part of my life and my soul. And that's when you realize, and I'm going to use that wonderful quote, which is, a job is what you are paid for. A calling is what you are made for.
Love it.
For Les Brown as well. And the intersection between experience and imagination, and recognizing, again, going back to radical relationships, that someone in finance can impact, as you say, the 4-year-old or the 6-year-old princess or pirate. Just beautiful, beautiful words. We got a little bit of bonus time together, and it was, to quote the word, the magic word, magic. So I want to thank you and for helping us tame the dragon and use the fire to warm the cockles of our heart and toast some marshmallows and make some s'mores together as family members. And that's what you said, right? In your bio, you turn every encounter and relationship into family. And I feel that's what we've done today.
Absolutely. And anytime, Joe, anytime you want me on the show, I'm glad to come back.
It was a lot of fun. And what was his name? Lee Cockrell.
Yes.
So you just interviewed him.
I did yesterday. And that podcast will come out after the summer.
Well, you can tell Lee if he would like to come on this show, he can as well. Stephen Rubin says, it's great to treat your customers as guests as long as you are a good host. I hope that I have been a good host today.
Amazing.
And thank you, sir. And let me tell you, it's not about what he thinks about me. It's what he thinks about you. But this is what Chuck Norris had to say about you, Shawn.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
There you go. Take care, everyone, and I will be back tomorrow night with the author of Trustworthy. Let me put that up right there. The author of Trustworthy, Miss Margot Bloomstein or Bloomstein, and I'll be back tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.